twisting, turning. It's a penalty, is it? No, he's still going. Oh, how about that? How about that?
Carried on into the penalty area. Here he is. And then Giroud. What a goal. Brilliantly worked. Fantastically finished.
Well, here's Ramsey. And Alexis Sanchez. Great footwork. 3-0. Liverpool blown away. A 3-goal, 8-minute Arsenal blast.
For Alexis, blocked by Newcastle defender. Still not clear. Wow, what a volley. Where others failed, Ozil has succeeded. Well done, Arteta. Plenty of it here. Yes! Arsenal have their breakthrough. Mikel Arteta, they deserve it.
Oh, they're behind again. It's amazing. It's Aaron Ramsey. That's the response of Arsenal. Andy Wobie, nicely done. Brilliantly done. Bayer in, Walcott. Sensational Arsenal goal.
Is that a handball? No. Nothing the play can do. Great, what a goal! Arsenal have made it 3-0. Jack Wilshere with an absolute thunderbolt.
Hello and welcome to the Clock and Talk and Arsenal podcast. I'm your host, Tez. You can get me at Gurner Tez. You get the podcast at Arsenal CET Podcast. Now, we're still waiting on our account. Twitter has fucked us up. So anyway, let's move on. A good win. And Southampton, we got it, Jack. We got it. And I'll bring you in, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, no, I'm good, Tez. Yourself?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Always good after a win, mate. I'm fucking like pumped as. Tony will be joining us in a minute, I think. Here he is now. Tony. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, good. Fashionably late, keep everyone waiting. Just had to put my back brace on. Obviously, been carrying you lot for a while, so just have to strap up before we get started.
Strap it up, buddy. And we're here with a fucking... I'm in a good mood, boys, because I went into this game and I thought after the FA Cup, I thought, fucking mate, if we lose this, I'm not going to do this podcast. I thought, fuck it. I'm highly hungover after Australia Day yesterday. So I'm thinking to myself, Southampton, I'm getting up at fucking 7 a.m. I'm watching the game, which started at 7:15, mind you, in Australia. So that fucked me to start with. And we won, boys. I'm fucking happy. But we're going to go back a little bit, Tony, to the FA Cup. And I know that just seems a long time ago, especially after a win. Just give us your quick rundown of it and what the fuck happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one to take because I think him rotating wasn't bad. We obviously wasn't sure what Southampton were going to do in terms of how strong they were going to go. Obviously he could have put out a better team. So I'm not saying it was the best possible team, but I don't think the team was too bad and they just didn't play very well apart from the last half hour. And by that time we left ourselves too much work to do and just couldn't score. I think if we had have scored one of those late chances and it goes to extra time, we win because I think we were quite strong in the last half hour or maybe 20 minutes, whatever it was. But it wasn't to be. I mean, you play Eddie and you know what you're going to get, which is not much unless the ball's 3 yards out. And yeah, it is what it is. I think it's annoying because obviously we're the cup holders and we've won it so many times recently. You don't want to just give the competition away. And it felt a bit like that with the lineup. But for me, that team he put out was strong enough or should be strong enough to win that game.
Jack, have you got anything to add on that, mate?
I mean, yeah, I just kind of felt that it was a case where, look, I mean, yes, on paper we've got a big squad, but in terms of when obviously we're trying to negotiate certain players out their contracts and we're trying to jig that around a bit. I mean, I think that the frailty of that kind of came through. I think we looked a bit lethargic in general, bar the last 30 minutes, as Tony said. But look, it's a cup game, like it happens. We lost the game to an early own goal, and Southampton were able to sit back and defend really well. And it happened. Look, it happens in the cup. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not going to sit there and dwell over it because at the end of the day, it just means we've got less games now and we can probably focus on the league. And especially with the way that the fixtures are congested up because of the season starting late, and obviously also I know it doesn't affect us, but games getting called off because of Corona issues. Yeah, it happens, and at least now we can consolidate on trying to get into Europe, whether that's Europa League or somehow even the Champions League. You never really know where the way this season seems to be going.
You wouldn't believe it, Tony. I do actually have a couple of mates, and a couple of them mates are Southampton fans. And they text
But
me
I don't
this
believe
morning.
either of them things.
They sent me a text this morning, and they said, "You guys really didn't give a shit about the cup, did you?" And I got me thinking, because I'll be honest, I didn't see the game live because it was on. I was saying to Jack earlier, it was on like 3 a.m. in the morning here, and I'm like, I'm not getting up at 3 a.m. Fuck that. I've done that. So I watched like an extended highlights in the morning when I got up. Was it the case that we didn't care? Well, not that we didn't care the FA Cup. Was it the case that because you mentioned he could have put a stronger lineup out? Were we concentrating on the league more so than the FA Cup?
Well, I think he wanted to go for the balance of strong enough to win both games, but you obviously need to have in your mind that people can't do, especially the way Southampton play. It's always going to be high energy, and it'd be difficult for our players to do that twice in 3 days. Also, you do need to give these players minutes at some times. Otherwise, we have the issue that we've had recently of, I mean, before we're talking about tonight's game, but someone like Pepe coming in and they haven't kicked the ball for a month. Or I mean, look at Gabriel. He hasn't. He missed a few games for COVID, and now he can't get up to the pace of the game again. Yeah, so you've got to give these people minutes. And look, maybe Gabriel wasn't fantastic the other day, but if it's one step back towards being at the level required, then you have to get that at some point. The same could be argued for Martinelli. I thought it was a horrendous sub taking him off, but the point remains. And look, we moan about Eddie, or I moan about Eddie. I don't know anyone. Well, I know most people moan about Eddie, but Aubameyang was obviously out. He was meant to play, so Eddie probably wouldn't have. But then Aubameyang goes home. Lacazette, can you play him twice in 3 or 4 days? Probably not. So then Eddie's your only real option. And I know people are going to moan about Balogun, but the further that guy gets away from the club, the better, in my point of view.
Actually, saying, and oh mate, look, I will go on record and say Eddie for me. Look, fuck me, but that poor kid, I feel for that kid. Like, he's just not up to the standard. But I do agree with you. Like, what choice was there? Like, if you don't play Eddie, well, who do you play? Like, it was either Eddie Lacazette play the FA Cup, and then Eddie plays the day, I guess. Kind of the way you look at it. For me, yeah, I love winning the FA Cup. I love every time we celebrate the, into the final. It's a cup. I love it. It's the FA Cup. But I am now like, yeah, I'm not. Look, I was pissed the next day. I was pissed right off the next day. But then after, the pissed off goes out, and then it's like, well, okay, we've got Europa League still, which can put us back in the Champions League. So that's probably where I want to concentrate on a little bit. I'm not so. I don't even know. I haven't looked at the ladder since we last done a pod on the Premier League, Tony. But I don't even know if we're looking at it. I'm just looking at it now.
I think we just went 8th. I think the commentator just said. But it's, you always say early in the season, you can kind of ignore it because it's not formed yet. No, it's obviously formed, but you can ignore it for different reasons. You win 3 games, and you like, look, people were talking Arteta out and us getting relegated on Boxing Day. A month to the day, it was Arteta out, Arsenal going to get relegated. Now, literally 1 month on, and we're 8th and 4 or 5 points off the top 4. Like, I'm not saying we're going to get top 4, but this season is just we've won 5 games and drawn 1 of our last 6, which I think would put us top of the form table, us and Man City, and you're suddenly like in with a shout again, not of the title, obviously. So it's really, I mean, I'm one of them. I don't really look at the table. I only know 8th, even that might not even be right, but I only know that because the commentators, I think that's what I heard.
Yeah. Like I said, I hadn't looked, and I wasn't. I was just, I didn't want to look. I think it was just, I'll leave it be. Okay, let's get into this game because we can't change what's happened. We're out of the FA Cup. We move on to Europa League and the Premier League. I'm not going to ask you boys what you prefer because at the moment we're in both, and we're looking good for both. Whether it be a top 4 in the Premier League or Europa League final coming up. Let's get on to today's game, Jack. Southampton 2.0. Your thoughts on that lineup, buddy?
I thought that it made sense. I personally thought that Saka should probably play left back if KT was out. I thought Cedric did a great job on that front, though. When I saw the lineup, though, I was quite surprised to see Pepe actually start the game on the left, because what it looked like to me with the way it was written was that Saka was on the left and Pepe was on the right, and then Saka could then cover for Cedric when he'd be on the left-hand side, especially
Yeah, I was
going forward.
confused with that too. Yeah,
But
yeah.
but yeah, I think there was a good balance today. I mean, I think our midfield was, I mean, obviously before the substitutions was spot on. Yeah, I think based on injuries and obviously players who couldn't make the game due to obviously family matters, I think the lineup on the whole was probably as strong as you could have gone. But then again, you could have started Gabby. But then, as Tony said, he may not necessarily be match fit, or maybe there was a different sort of role that Arteta saw. Maybe he was trying to give Pepe some minutes, give Gabby a bit more of a rest before the weekend with United. But yeah, on the whole, it was a good lineup, I thought, to put out by the manager.
Tony, your thoughts? Tony's not here. Or am I on
He's
mute?
still on mute.
Yeah, I'm on mute. Sorry.
Better you than me.
Yeah, it's usually you. I expected Gabby to play. To be honest, the other 10 was, I think everyone else would have anyone could have picked them. Once we knew obviously KT was out, I expected Gabby, but Liam, who obviously ran off to the other podcast, he made a good point in the group chat that maybe Arteta didn't want 2 right-footed players on that side, because it would have led to everything coming inside and no overlap or underlap, because both players want to go inside all the time. So I think having a left footer there, even though Pepe, I want to say, can't really play on the left, but he done well today. In general, from what we've seen of him, he can't really play on the left, but it just gave you that natural balance of having a left footer on that side, at least one. So both sides ended up having a right footer and a left footer, both on the right and the left.
Just because he's ran off to the other podcast, I'm going to say he stole that. He didn't think of that. No way in the world. Shout out, Liam. How are you, buddy? Russ says, evening, chaps. How are we, Russ? Rohan says, where the fuck is Tony? Well, Tony's here late. And Addy couldn't join us today. He didn't actually watch the game, poor old Addy. He was off shopping, so got dragged around the shops to get food, unfortunately. Yeah, we're all good, Russ. Thanks, mate. Okay. I'm going to mention it. I have to mention it. Even though I think Lacazette makes my 3-2-1, that was it a minute into the game, Tony, where I thought he should have buried it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of them we can kind of forget about it because we've won the game, but it's an awful miss, because he's also, I mean, you can't miss that chance anyway, but he's also done nothing. Like, if he's gone to pull it through the keeper's legs, which I think he's tried to do, which is the wrong option anyway, because there's so much of the goal open, but then he's lifted the ball off the floor. If you're going to go through the keeper, like, make sure the ball is on the ground. But I mean, there's so many options. He could have opened his body, he could have gone around the keeper, he could have lifted it, and he's just kind of done nothing. And look, he doesn't make my 3-2-1, but I thought he had I thought he was horrendous for half hour, to be honest. The first half hour, and then I thought he came into it, but he doesn't make my 3-2-1s. But stuff like that is what's always going to be uncomfortable about Lacazette. I mean, look, it's not cost us today, but you need a number 9, especially like someone who should be confident, who's been in good form. You need a number 9 where that chance comes and you just think goal. Like, it's funny, it's the same fixture. If you look at Aubameyang at home against Southampton, he'd been in a horrible run of form, hadn't scored for 300 years, had scored an own goal a couple of weeks before, but he gets a chance that's harder than that. Still a 1-on-1, but a little bit harder. And you just have no doubt he scores. And he slots it in and everyone goes, easy finish. Because that's the level of finisher you're looking at. Whereas Lacazette, look, he's got a lot more in his all-round game. But not one of us, no Arsenal fan saw that and thought, yes, 1-0. Like, whereas the moment he goes through, any top draw striker or top draw number 9, I'll tell you what, if Danny Ings would have gone through the other end, I'd have thought, shit, we're 1-0 down.
Yeah. Jack, obviously, we just touched on that, but probably made it worse when we did go 1-0 down. It was 5 minutes into it or something.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I thought that it was relatively sloppy from Pepe on that front, not keeping it onto, I think it was Armstrong. But yeah,
He doesn't
it was
defend
good.
Pepe. Let's face it. He just not interested in defending.
To be fair, I mean, we'll get onto his later performance in a bit, but I mean, I thought he had a good game overall. But in
Yeah,
terms
I
of
agree.
in terms of the defending, I mean, I think Leno made a good reaction to try and get to it, but it was a very good finish from Armstrong. And to be fair, it's difficult to save them. Yeah, I mean,
My
that's what happens
only
when you
thing,
kick for a free shot.
yeah, sorry, Jack. My only thing was that I was hanging Pepe a little bit. I thought, well, he didn't really, track his man. He didn't mark his man. He was type of just, and whether it was his man or not too was the other thing, because I haven't looked back at it on replay, but I just watched it as the game went on, and for me, I was singling out Pepe. I thought, fuck, why didn't you fucking do something there? Like, there's a man with so much Armstrong, so much space just standing there in the box. I'm like, fuck.
Can I just jump in quickly? Sorry, I think I'm the only person I've seen that doesn't blame
I've
Pepe.
lost you, Jake. I think I've lost you, buddy.
Can you hear me?
I could hear Tony fine there.
Must be my internet. Useless fucking Aussie cunt.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, I must be the only person or one of the only people I've seen that doesn't blame Pepe. I hate that commentators go, "Oh, he's lost his man." We mark zonally. Everyone knows we mark zonally. Pepe's there as a blocker, and I can't remember who it was that makes a back post run, and he kind of steps to block them and then lets him go because whoever's tracking him tracks him. And Southampton just work it beautifully. If you watch it properly, I think their centre back and Danny Ings both make the front post run, and Ings nearly caught us with a front post run the other day. So that'll be in Arsenal's defenders' mind, and they've just cleared that space, knowing that we operate 4 defenders on the edge of the 6-yard box and then blockers. That's how we defend set pieces. And look, we've still got the best set piece defensive record in the league, although it doesn't feel like it recently, but we have. So look, Southampton have done their homework, and Pepe happens to be the nearest person to him, but no one can tell me it was Pepe's job to keep an eye on the guy who started when they took the corner or just before. Armstrong was 30 yards out. That's no one's job.
That's what I was saying. Whether it was his man or not is not, but it was the fact that he was probably the closest, so he's going to get the blame.
Yeah, that's
really.
what it is. I think if that was if that was Saka, who everyone likes, I don't think anyone would say anything. But because it's Pepe, who's some people like him, most people don't, or he's definitely not lived up to 72 million. It was just so easy to go, "Oh, he's close. It's his fault." Whereas, look, could he have done better? Of course he could have, but it's not that wasn't his job. It's not like someone said to him, "You look after Armstrong," and then Armstrong scored.
No, exactly. Look, and 8 minutes in, we get the goal back anyway. It's 1-0. Tony Pepe gets the goal, mate, and I will just touch, just in case you don't, on the lovely ball by Granite.
Yeah, pressing from the front, and I mean, we're going to talk more about the first half. Obviously, I thought it was kamikaze football. I thought either team could have scored every time they had the ball, or either team could have conceded every time they had the ball. We committed, I think it was a goal kicker. Either way, they had the ball at the back, and we committed seemingly 11 men. They played a horrible pass out the back straight to Saka, who played it to Partey, and then that whole side of the pitch was open. Good ball by Granite. I saw someone in the chat say they thought he underhit it. I thought he weighted it perfectly. And Rio Ferdinand, who was a pundit at half time, said perfectly weighted ball. Pepe does well to hold the defender off. He's obviously on the inside, so he could have gone down as well. And it's a good finish. It's a good. I mean, it's poor from Southampton, or you could say brave from us for committing so many people. Whatever way you want to look at it out of them two. But once we've got the ball back, we've worked it very well. And it's what will get underrated. It's a good run from Pepe to be inside the fullback, because then the defender can't do anything. All they can do is foul you or let you go. And that's basically what happened. The defender went to foul him and thought, shit, I'm last man. It'll be a penalty, definitely, and maybe a red card. So the defender let him go. And it's funny, I saw a few Southampton pundits on Twitter. I've found pundits for like most clubs. And the Southampton guys were saying we're getting killed by Arsenal's wingers running inside, and our fullbacks just like they're getting caught every time because they're getting narrower and narrower, and then before you know it, there's all the space in the world. So I thought it was something that was quite noticeable, and you've got to give both Saka and Pepe credit for making them runs.
Yeah, no, that's right, and I haven't seen much of them kind of goals with Pepe either. So I seen the ball go through, and I wasn't to know what to expect. Oh shit! If he misses this, but I'll be honest. I thought if he misses this, that's what I was thinking when it was. But he done well, and even though granted with the great ball, I do agree, Pepe. Good finish all round. I want to touch on Bellerin because I did see this pop up in the chat. Somebody talking about, obviously Bellerin got a yellow card in the 19th minute, and I think somebody highlighted that Bellerin seems to be getting a few yellow cards. Well, I was trying to rack my brain on how many he actually got, Jack.
It was his seventh in the league. Sorry, I was just gone.
Okay.
No, that came up because obviously the commentator said it, but then also what I didn't really like to see was during the game a lot of public, well-known Arsenal fan platforms thought it'd be a good idea to start spouting that negative, stupid stat mid-game, and it's just a case, in my opinion, where you should just focus on the performance and the game that's in play at the time. It's irrelevant. Yeah, Hex picked up some bookings, but do you know what I mean? It was a weak yellow card anyways that the ref gave, and it is what it is. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, I didn't think much of it, to be honest. I didn't sit there and go, "Oh shit, that's what do you say, Tony? 7?
7 in the league, yeah."
Yeah, so I didn't think much of it. I didn't. It wasn't until I seen the comment and I thought, "Oh, really? Okay." I don't care if my players, if our players get a yellow card.
I had a bit of an issue. Yeah. I had a bit of an issue with it just because it shows, for me, it highlighted where he's got worse, because a few years ago, if he had Armstrong running at him, he wouldn't have tried to make the tackle. He'd have just ran down the line with him, been much quicker, so either nicked the ball or, worst case, shown him down a blind alley. Now where he knows he hasn't got the pace, he just lunges into a ball that he was never going to win. But even if he did win it, you shouldn't be making them lunging tackles when you're 40 yards out. As I said, it's just the pace is not what it was. And I think just after as well, he got beat pretty comfortably by Armstrong. And Armstrong, it's not like that. If it's Walcott, you can go, Walcott's known for that. Armstrong, don't get me wrong, I think it's a very good player, but no one thinks Stuart Armstrong rapid. That thought doesn't enter anybody's mind. So for me, I wasn't overly concerned about the yellow card in terms of how many yellow cards he gets. It was just a bit it's annoying because it just shows kind of where he's gone backwards.
Just into the chat, the champ. I haven't heard you for a while, ever. I don't know the champ, but anyway, great win. He says, and he says, down under Aussie supporters. Well, I'm the only Aussie buddy, and we've got 2 whinging Poms with me, and Jack and Tony. He does also say Saka's value has gone up in the last 6 months around Pepe's money. Ooh. Don't know if it'd be. Oh, geez, what do you reckon, boy? What do you boys reckon? I don't know about 72 mil.
I wouldn't accept it. I wouldn't accept it.
You wouldn't accept it?
If someone offered 72 million for Saka tomorrow, I wouldn't take it.
It's a diabolical offer. If you look at the price of young talent in football, anyways, let alone the fact that Saka's obviously young and English, and add on to the fact that now with the new Brexit laws, you can't sign any players under the age of 18, anyways. From abroad, the stock of young English talent's gone through the roof, and when you're a player like Saka, who has got the stats that he has and has also shown that he can perform in multiple positions on the pitch, I've got to be honest with you, in today's market, whether or not people think this is the right valuation, but he's well above 100 million quid based on how the market is these days. And that's a fact. If you're talking 100 plus million for Sancho, based on current form, Saka's got to be at least 20-30 million ahead of that.
No, true. He's good, that Sancho. I watched him on last week somewhere. He was playing. They lost anyway.
The game they lost.
Good. Yeah, they lost. Yeah. He was good to watch though. I thought, fuck. Back to this guy. Sorry, all over that, shall we? Tony. Oh, Saka scores. That's right. 39th minute. That was before half time.
Yeah. Good spin and ball by Laka, and look, we've seen him do that a lot. I say a lot. We've seen him do it a few times recently. Saka's composure is unreal because there's so many options. For me, the keeper shouldn't have come and made Saka's job kind of easy. But you got to remember, he's still a young player, and he could have gone down. He could have tried to take it back onto his left foot, knowing obviously that he's left-footed. But for me, Saka's best asset, and I kind of remember saying this last season, was he just always makes the right decision. Like, I remember saying that he's a lot like one of them players where you can't say what he's good at. Like, do you know what I mean? You won't say, he's rapid, or he beats men for fun, or his passing's amazing. He just seems to make the right decision every time, which is unreal for someone of his age. And he's not scared to go on his right foot, which makes him so dangerous when he's facing defenders up one-on-one. But also for that goal, he takes it onto his right foot and he puts the ball into empty net like you should do. But when you remember he's a 19-year-old kind of off balance going onto his wrong foot, it's maybe not as easy as he made it look. And it's just his decision making is incredible. And we're obviously going to go on later to talk about it again, but just it's one of them goals. It looks so easy, but it's easy because he makes the right decisions. And again, it's a good ball by Lacazette. And another, what I was saying earlier about our wingers making the run between inside the fullback, so between the centre back and the fullback, it's the same thing again. Saka gets between the two of them. Again, like our first goal, the defender thinks about fouling him, and to be honest, probably should have, because we was like 35, 40 yards out. He probably wouldn't have got sent off. But he has a think about it. He kind of grabs him and lets him go. If that was Bertrand, who's obviously was suspended, who's their first choice left back, I have no doubt he would have fouled Saka. But thank God their young fullback didn't have the presence of mind to do it. And again, we're talking about a young kid not making the right decision, and we go on and score from it.
Yeah, how many goals he got this season? Saka. Up there.
He's got nine
there,
goals and he's got 8 goals and assists in 9 games at right wing. I saw that stat during the game, but I'm not sure about the whole season. I presume he's on double figures now for the season for sure.
Yeah, no, that's the reason I asked, because I was like, the commentators were talking about it, and I was like, oh, okay. And the same with Lacazette. They spoke about Lacazette because he must have hit double figures as well, which was surprised me.
I don't think Saka has. I know Lacazette's now our top scorer, taking over from the talent that is Eddie Nketiah.
Mm.
No, I meant goals and assists, double figures, not actually goals.
Oh yeah, he must have pissed that.
Yeah. Half time, Jack. We go into the sheds. I'm sitting there. Yeah, okay, we're up 2-1, but I'm thinking this game could go either way. I'm not confident yet. I think I've seen Tony right. Once we get to four goals, then we can be comfortable. I agree. It was just one of them games, wasn't it?
No, yeah, 100%. I mean, the thing is with Southampton is that you never really know. I mean, they're a very good pressing team. I mean, their league form hasn't been great, but then at the same time, they're a good side, and that doesn't change. And especially with what we can be like, as we've seen in some moments this season, we did need that cushion. But I mean, going into half time, coming from behind to be 2-1 up, I thought was a major positive. But then again, as said, I felt like we just couldn't get carried away at all, just in case. I rate Redmond, Tony. I haven't watched much of Southampton this season. I might have been 2-3 games maybe. I don't know how much Redmond started for him or what the plans are there. But he come on and I'm sitting there thinking, oh fuck, here we go, because he's one of them players that can get a couple of quick goals. So that substitution kind of was the only one that really 67 minute Southampton, but he hasn't been playing much. Or what's happening there with Redmond?
No, I mean, he's been injured, but he doesn't usually start anyway because he doesn't really fit their system. I was the complete opposite to you. I quite like him, but I don't think he affects the top end of the pitch enough in terms of goals and assists. But not only that, I thought Diallo was their best player, and moving him to fullback, which is a role he's never really played before. I know in the press conference the day before or 2 days before, Hassan said, he's got the role, the abilities, the attributes to play fullback. So, but to test it out at that time against Saka, who was running white riot, I was buzzing that it just got him out of the middle of the pitch. It also Armstrong was causing us trouble because he was technically playing left wing, but just popping up wherever he wanted. And then, so no one, who tracks that man? Because obviously Hector can't go and follow them, and it becomes more difficult. With that sub, it meant Armstrong was now a centre midfielder, and then you expect the centre midfielder to roam and prop up everywhere. So it's a lot easier to stop. I really, really rate Hassan Hootel, and maybe it was just because he didn't have many options to come from the bench, but I thought that was a really bad sub. Especially at that
Yeah,
time, it was still 2-1.
Yeah, that's why I was totally the opposite of you. I didn't think of the what effect it had elsewhere, I suppose. But yeah, my thing was just, oh fuck Redmond, fuck, here we go. That's I remember saying that was my thing. Pepe yellow card. Once again, I'm not overly fussed here, boys. It was nothing real for me.
If
These
if yellow cards could be rescinded, that would be rescinded. It was an absolute joke, but
yeah,
obviously they can't. So
nah. Lacazette gets a goal, assisted by Saka. Tony.
yeah, I mean Cedric's ball's insane. Cedric's performance was insane. Great crossfield ball. Again, Diallo not being able to play fullback. Even the best fullback in the world maybe wouldn't have got there. But you could see he was coming too narrow because he's used to playing in the middle. He left so much space behind him. And look, as I said, Cedric's played the ball perfectly. And again, Saka's decision making. It's on his wrong foot. It'd have been so easy for him to take a touch, get the ball down, and try and have a shot or go at the defender. But what I like about Saka's decision making is that he doesn't care if the right option is the hard option, he'll still do it. Whereas you get a lot of players, they'll know that they should do something, but it's too difficult, so they'll go simple or safe. Whereas Saka, to play that ball on the volley on your weak foot when there's not much margin for error, is a brave choice, and he plays it very well. And Lacazette's got a tap in. I thought the way Lacazette kicked it, I thought he must have been fouled as he tapped it in, because his foot was weird, and I sort of replaying it wasn't. I think if he'd have missed that, we'd have had to drag him off by his ears. But again, I'm not going to criticize him because he's in the right place. And how often do I say on here, I don't like when he gets in the 6-yard box, I'm happy because he's spent 2.5 years not doing it. So when he's there, fine by me.
Yeah. He hit the post too. I wonder if he get a nice little bruise there or something.
I think he got out of the way of it, to be honest.
Did he? They played it back a few times. Not that all just what we want. Eddie.
Well, it wasn't a Phil Babb incident. And if anyone who's listening doesn't know what I'm talking about, Google it and cry.
He was actually laughing. He's lying there laughing and whatnot. So I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I think he managed to sort of half get out of the way. Obviously, he did hit the post, but when you see something coming and you can kind of
not as bad as Jack. William comes on. Smith Rowe goes off. Arsenal fans on Twitter moaning and groaning, mate.
I saw that. It actually upset me a bit because I didn't think Willian did anything that wrong when he came on. I mean, his first sort of impact was led up to the goal. I mean, if he didn't play that little ball and that little recovery that he made, we said Cedric wouldn't have pinged that ball over to Bukayo to stick it into Laka because that was literally his first involvement of the game. Look, if I'm being honest, as I've said on here for most of the season, like Willian for me should never be playing out wide, but he's not too bad in the 10. He's not great, but he does a job, especially coming off the bench. If someone like Emil's come off, which clearly looks like a precaution for the weekend, based on the fact that he just walked straight up the stairs and sat back in the stands. But yeah, I understand why they're negative, but I just think our fans on social media as a whole are just incredibly fucking toxic.
After that FA Cup loss, I didn't even go on fucking Twitter. Not good. Nothing against the lads at Arsenal Fan TV, but they love winding people up, don't they? Like, I think they threw a tweet out and said it was pointed at Eddie. I can't remember the exact point, and I was like, really?
Well, do you know what it is, right? I feel like there's this, and I've said this before, but I just feel like they've created this culture where it's like if they don't deem you're good enough, then they hound them out. They get toxic and negative, and I think that it's not right. I mean, as fans, we're meant to support the club and not use any excuse possible to slander them. And they've created this culture as well where it's like if you're negative and toxic, you somehow become famous, and it's disgusting because at the end of the day, the common interest we're all meant to have as Arsenal fans is the fact that we all love Arsenal Football Club. And if I've got to be honest, certain individuals that either are on there or have appeared on there in the past, I really don't think love the club at all. And I think that it's very clear that it's become a business entity more than anything else. And if I'm being honest with you, it's partly one of the reasons why I'm very glad I walked away 2-3 years ago and I've completely distanced myself from them, because I don't agree with with a lot of the stuff that they come out and do. I mean, the fact, as I said before, that they were tweeting negative stats about a player mid-game when we were also winning. I mean, that's disgusting. I mean, I don't know who's in charge of the social media admin, but I mean, if I was in charge, I mean, they wouldn't be doing their job anymore, because it just completely counteracts the whole point of what the platform's meant to be.
Yeah, I've got no issue with them at all. You know, if they're making $1 out of a bit of negative stuff, good on them. Go hard, lads. That's my take. Well, there's $1 floating around, I'll make $1. But I just mentioned it because I did see that tweet pop up after the FA Cup loss, and I thought, because Eddie was getting smashed on Twitter, and then I seen can't remember the exact tweet now. It's something like, should Eddie start? Should Eddie ever start for Arsenal again, or something along them lines? And I was like, yeah, okay, righto.
But this is the thing. But this is the point.
Yeah,
exactly.
I got no issue with them, though, Jack.
As fans, though, we're meant to be there to support our players and give them a pick up when they're off form. And as I said, there's this culture, especially with Arsenal. I mean, Tony, I'm sure can vouch for this. But if we look at someone like Iwobi being in the, I mean, this isn't just on AFTV. This is on the fan base as a whole. But I mean, Iwobi used to do stuff which wasn't bad. His end product may not have been great with the final shot, but he'd have a good game. And any opportunity the away would get, they would go mental at him. And I don't know if that was a racial thing. And I'm not trying to play that racial card, but I mean, it definitely appeared to be that. But it's just a prime example of this toxic, negative nature. When the fact, as I said, we need to be there as fans to love and support the club. Yes, we can criticise them. However, there are ways of which you do it. And I don't think they're done necessarily in the correct way in the slightest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I suppose I'm not as close as you guys are, so at the end, they don't overly. I don't watch them. I don't support them, or anything. It doesn't really bother
neither.
me. But somebody retweeted it, popped up, and I was like, "Oh, that's a bit fucking rough." Okay, because when you've got a massive follow-on, and you put out a little bit of negative stuff, it's going to grow a bit of traction.
No,
so that was my
exactly.
issue with it.
There's also people look at some of the people on there and think because they've got a big following that their views and their opinions must be spot on. And fuck me, it's the furthest thing from the case. I mean, it's also, and it influences a lot of fans who then don't make their own opinions, which I also think is sad as well, because the whole point of opinion is that it's meant to be your own. But yeah, it's just I just.
I'm not going to crucify him too much, because when I was knocking on Evan's door, they retweeted, so I can't knock on them too much.
No, yeah.
Okay, so back to this one, Tony. Where am I up to? Got that goal out of the row. William come on. They took off Walcott. They took off Ings. We threw on El Neni. But by this stage, I'm thinking, everybody's just going, look, let's just play it out. It is what it is. Arsenal are going to win 3-1. And I felt that Mines were looking towards the next game.
Yeah, exactly that. I don't think Ings and Walcott would have come off if it was still 2-1. I mean, the subs happened straight after. Neither of them. I think the camera zoomed in on Ings and he looked physically fine. So I think, as you said, they were just looking to play it out. We've just got to hope. Obviously, we've got Man United at the weekend, and we've got to hope that both Emile and Partey is just a bit of cramp or tiredness, rather than anything more serious, because we're going to have to be at full strength and on the weekend, and them guys are certainly both in our best 11.
No, absolutely. Who gets you through 2-1?
Saka, Cedric, Xhaka, and Cedric's really hard done by not to get free. And Laka can probably feel hard done by not to get one. He just pissed me off in the first half hour. Felt like everything he done in the first half hour was wrong, and then the next hour was no. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say perfect, but yeah, he was very good. But the first half hour, every little thing he done annoyed me.
I'm surprised. Actually, I'll give you mine in a minute, but I'm surprised on one. But anyway, Jack,
I would give my 3 to Saka, my 2 to Cedric, and my 1 to I'd probably say Partey. He just makes everything just effortless, and you don't expect it. He does all the all the bitch work just perfectly. And I think the whole fact that he does his job more unnoticed shows just how influential and how good he is to the core of that midfield.
Yeah, okay. 3 to Saka. I'm going to go 2 to Leno, which I'm surprised didn't make any of your boys, because a couple of them good saves that Leno made, we could have been a totally different game. And 1 to Granite for me, but I'll give a shout out to Cedric. He was great. I'll give a shout out to Holding too. I thought he was good. Pepe, very unlucky not to get in the 3-2-1, but probably if Leno wasn't there, Granite would have got 2, and I would have give 1 to Pepe. But yeah, no, surprised you boys didn't put Leno in yours. So anyway, anything else on that game, Tony?
Sorry, I was muted. No, not really. They're a decent side. Got the 3 points, and we go again.
Move on.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to get into some questions soon. So drop your questions. I don't know. I've probably got some on Twitter. I'm not real sure. Yeah, I'm pumping through this today, boys, because I'm really struggling to be here at the moment. But anyway, I'll play this and we'll be back with some questions and we'll talk a bit of transfer news.
For Gooners everywhere, this is the ultimate football app for you. For match highlights, interviews, and the best Arsenal videos and podcasts. Download the free Gunners app now from the App Store and Google Play.
A really good app for news too. If you boys haven't got that app yet, download it, because I get a lot of Arsenal news on that. Okay, I want to talk about a couple of arrivals first. Tony, Matty Ryan, he is here. Boys, we got an Aussie in the team. Tony, your thoughts on that one?
Not in the team, at the club. Do you know what?
He's in the team. Yeah, no,
You might never see him play. No, do you know what? It's not a bad signing. It's funny that the day before, and you'll know this obviously because you're in the group chat, someone bring it up, Lionel, and I said decent keeper, but I would prefer someone homegrown. Nothing to do with ability, just because it frees up space in the squad. And then the next day, and it was completely out of the blue, because obviously this killed in the nose, or ITKs, because there was not a hint of it. And then it was like, oh, Arsenal signed Matt Ryan. And yeah, but it was funny that we was literally talking about it the day before. And look, good keeper. He was on the bench today. It will get Runnison out the squad, but it doesn't make an extra homegrown space. But still, it does a job for us, and it massively improves us in that area as in a second string keeper. As I said, he might never play, but I'd have a lot more confidence if Leno got injured or suspended or needed a rest. I'd have a lot more confidence in Matt Ryan than I would Runnison.
Just on that with the homegrown, because I was reading Scottish mother and all this shit, and I was like, oh, maybe he does qualify, but you just said it twice. He doesn't, or
no? So the passport literally doesn't matter at all. You just have to have been at an English club for 3 years before your 21st birthday. So I didn't know this. Eric Dyer is not homegrown, even though he plays for England, because he was in Portugal at Sporting Lisbon, I think it was. So even though he's a British passport holder, clearly English, born in England, because he wasn't at an English club for 3 years under 21, he's not homegrown. And I saw people trying to say about the Scottish passport, but Kearney's not homegrown, and he's definitely, he's as Scottish as they come. So no, it's just I don't know if that rule's been changed. I know the Scottish thing was never, Scottish never counted you as homegrown anyway. But I don't know if it's been recent that it's only the 3 years, because it really surprised me when I found out about Eric Dyer. We just probably don't notice it too much because Brits don't tend to go abroad, in terms of football. But yeah,
I seen you and Schwinn were having a talk about, obviously your love for Jack Wilshere Because
what a goal he scored today.
It was.
What a finish. I mean, it was Crawley, don't get me wrong. They got fucking Towie and someone who's from The Only Way is Essex, which is, Tez, I'm not sure if you know, it's like one of them like reality TV shows in their squad. But what a finish. And it's great to see Jack back, it must be said.
Yeah, but yeah, so Schwinn and Tony, they were talking about, Tony was talking about his love for Jack, and obviously he's watched that young player coming up through the ranks and into the team that you love in Arsenal. So for me, it's like I was saying, I know Matt Ryan's a big difference, but for an Aussie to watch him come up, this is a kid who played for Central Coast, 2 hours down the road from me, and come up in through Blacktown, and these kids you never fucking see pop up, and he played for Blacktown, Central Coast, and then he made it to wherever he's gone. He's had a stint at Valencia and Brighton, and now he's at Arsenal. So for an Aussie, it's actually I get where you come from now, Tony, with Jack, because I'm now got that similar thing with Matt.
Just really quickly, lucky for you, Tez, that the way, just by looking at the deal from a business point of view, it looks very much as though, based on the fact that his contract's up at the end of the season, it looks very much as though it's a bit like the Cedric or Murray deal, where we're signing them. Well, not the Murray, sorry, the Cedric deal, where we're signing them on loan to then obviously take them on a permanent when the contract's up, based on if he does all right. I mean, and he's a very good quality Premier League keeper, and I think it's a great signing, and I think you'll see Matt Ryan at Arsenal for more than just 6 months. I really do.
Is he our first Aussie, Tez? Is he our first Aussie? I can't think of any, but
yeah, I think so. Yeah, yep.
I don't know if he is, because I would normally have seen the tweet when they go like X player is the first player to play for the club. I'm going to Google that now.
I can't think of any others anyway. Like, we'd never seen Harry Kewell there. Robbie Slater wasn't there. Schwarzer, he wasn't. I can't think of any other Aussies that ever played.
There was
for
one.
us.
John
Who was that?
Kosmina played one game for us in 1978.
Oh fuck! I wasn't even born. John, who?
It says here, Kosmina. He was a Polish Australian ethnicity. He basically played for Arsenal, and in February 1970, he joined us in February 78 and played one first team league game as a sub against Leeds in August of that year.
Sounds like you tried to sneak through the back door of Australia and claim rights. Fucking Polish Australian, fair dinkum. No, okay, so yeah, look, no one of any fucking importance. I would have loved fucking Tim Cahill at Arsenal. I thought he might have been a chance, but yeah.
We got Mikel Arteta instead.
Can I just ask quickly the question I asked Schwinn last week? Jack, whose exit did you feel more, Mesut's or Jack's?
Oh, obviously Wilshere. I mean, look, regardless from the fact that we share the same name, watching Wilshere come through was he kind of came through at the sort of point where, I mean, I was a season ticket holder long before Wilshere, but in terms of like actually understanding it properly and being there and feeling that real love, Wilshere was kind of the first player for me that came through and saw that. And look, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm not trying to sound like a puff, but when he put that video up on Instagram when he left with that song in the background, it genuinely made me cry. Like I was heartbroken. Like for me, and I've said this because I always envisioned Jack to be even a captain. I mean, look, I would have signed him back within a heartbeat, simply because of what he would have brought to the dressing room and what he could have brought us from a deep line roll off the bench. I love Wilshere, but then it was sad to see Mesut go just because of how big a day it was when he signed. And what, to be fair, like what take away what's happened the last few years, Ozil has been fantastic for the club, and he has allowed the club to succeed in ways which we weren't before. I mean, we weren't spending any money, and we signed a player who was arguably one of the best midfielders in the world at the time, and it was amazing. And if it wasn't for Giroud basically being a fucking lamppost and going on like a 10-game spree without scoring, not only we would have won the league, but we would have won the league because of Mesut Ozil, and he would have been a club legend. And I do think that does go under the radar. But to answer your question, Wilshere by a mile. But that's just because I absolutely adore Jack Wilshere.
Yeah, no, I said Jack, and him and Tez and Schwinn were surprised by that and said easily Ozil. So I thought it just must be the London connection.
I've only cried twice when players have left us. One was Wilshere, and the other I will never forget when I was like 7, and I had on the weekends my parents would let me then have a TV in my room, so I wouldn't wake them up in the morning. And I woke up and I worked on BBC News, which was really weird considering I was like 7, and went and seeing Henri's leaving interview. That was the only other time, but that's because he's literally my Arsenal idol. But yeah, Wilshere going honestly broke my heart, and honestly, if anything that came out of Unai Emery, I fucking hate him for that more than anything, because I really do think Jack could have done a job. And even Tony, I think you remember that was my first season home and away, was his last, and he was exceptional when he played for us off when he came back from fitness and around. I think it was around November-ish. I mean, I remember the game against Palace away when he put that amazing ball into Alexis. It's just one of many examples of how effective he was for us that season.
I just realised who you were trying to say, Jack. John Cosmina. I did not know he played for Arsenal for one game. Yeah, he's a fucking legend in Australia, mate. I didn't even click when you said 1978. That's what threw me. I'm thinking, who the fuck? He managed Adelaide United. He managed Sydney FC. He's been around for a long time in Australian football. Never knew he fucking played.
The only reason we know those sorts of teams are because of Robbie Fowler and the media loving the fact that he was the manager out there.
Yeah, he's on. John, he's on bloody. He commentating not commentating, but he's in the A League now. He's on Fox every fucking weekend. But yeah, when you said 1978, that's what threw me, because I didn't think he was that old. But yeah, okay, there you go.
Tony, who would the manager been then? Would it have been Bertie Mee?
I have no idea. I'm really bad with football history. Like, me and football history is terrible, and like there's some people and they talk about Arsenal history, and it makes me feel like I know nothing about the club. Like, whereas I know everything within probably like my time supporting, but kind of not before I was born. But basically before I was born, it's almost like it didn't happen to me.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
I'm just having a look now. I'm just having a look now. Fuck, he went up. Anyway, I'm going to have a look at that later after this pod. I can't believe he played one game for Arsenal. I want to know how that happened.
Tez, if I were you, I'd calm down before you get an erection.
No, I just don't know how you play for one game. Like, how do you sign a contract?
He was probably a kid. He was probably a kid at the time and probably was quite shit for us.
1978, he'd be, I suppose, 50 or something now, I guess. Yeah.
I think he's in his 60s, it said on Wikipedia.
No,
He can't be in his 50s. He's 42 years ago. He didn't play when he was 8.
Okay.
How old did it say he was? Hang on, let me check. Let me go back to the page. I haven't got rid of it. He's 64 years old. It's funny. He played for us in. Hang on, so 78. Let's work this out.
18.
He was
Terry Neal was probably the manager.
Yeah, he was about 18. Yeah.
There's literally not a single person that cares about this conversation.
Everybody's counting. Look at them all commenting.
I mean, all the Aussies here.
He's English player, but don't count as homegrown. That is a stupid fucking rule.
I mean, let's be real. He's just another one of like a J. Emmanuel Thomas, a player who had one game or so for us.
Alex, the fucking Chuck. He's a fucking Aussie. Look at him. Fuck off, cunt. Then he comes there. Good save, Tez. Yeah, I know. I'm fucking all over this shit, Alex. Cheers, mate. Nah, I fucked up. I didn't even realise what you were talking about. Fuck, it's hot. Fucking stinking weather. You cunts enjoying snow, I guess.
Yeah.
Snow in England, Tez, is the fucking worst thing because no one's prepared for it. It's not like Germany where you get like you legally have to have spiked tyres. And the government as well, the way they deal with it, no one gives a fuck. So it just turns to ice and it's just like, honestly, I swear to God, you see car crashes left, right and fucking centre.
Yeah, fuck that. Fuck living in that world. Okay, Ozil official announcement was this week. Tony, he's gone. And I had a cackle. I don't know how true this is. But apparently they're fucking doing an SMS campaign to pay for his wages. Did you see that?
I read that. Yeah, I read it. I didn't open the article. And technically, it's confusing me for a while because obviously we hadn't announced it, and the whole time they were saying, "Oh, we've tore up his contract." So the moment he flew over, I was thinking, well, what are they on about? That he's still an Arsenal player. If we've torn up his contract, we've torn up his contract. But we didn't.
I don't know if we did.
No, we didn't. We didn't. But that was the report.
I don't know if we did, because it's apparently, sorry to interrupt, but it said
we sold him for free.
Yeah, because we can get up to £1.5 million in bonuses, I read. By one of the journals.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That before it was completed, the whole report was Arsenal were paying up his contract or tearing up his contract. And I was thinking, well, why have we got to wait for? Because they were saying, they've got to wait for the quarantine to lift. They've got to wait for the medical before they can announce it. And I was like, well, you don't. If you torn up his contract, he could go and fail a medical. That's sort of none of your problem. He's gone. But yeah, we didn't. We agreed a transfer fee of £0, but with some future add-ons. I'm not sure what they are. I mean, they're not going to amount to much.
I think it's £1.5 million if they win the league this year, which they are in a title challenge or something along those lines.
How much is the wages, you reckon, boys? Like, what are they paying him?
He's taken like a 60, 70 or even 80% wage cut. I think he's only on about 110 a week or something. Or no, even less. I can't remember the exact number, but he's definitely taken a big cut.
I read 60, but then we'd have paid him up a bit, and then we would have, and then there'll be huge sponsors. I mean, it was always known that Fenner couldn't afford him, and there's sponsors involvement, and obviously their fans are texting in as well. So, I think his base salary is 60, but his actual earnings will be nearer 200, I'd imagine.
Do you reckon? Like he'll be welcome back there?
He's a god there. He's a god there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But I mean, the way it is in Turkey, they're so partisan that with like Fenerbahce, he'll be a god. Galatasaray, he'll be the lowest of the low. Like their rivalry is no joke. Like they will hate you instantly just because you show some affiliation to the other one.
You know what was quite funny? Do you know the picture he posted just before it was announced, where it was him? It was like a Photoshop of him walking in a Fenerbahce shirt, holding like the hand of himself as a kid in a Fenerbahce shirt. My dad saw that and didn't realise that it was him. So my dad was like, "Oh, it's nice that Mesut was able to get announced on the pitch and everything." And it was like, "It's nice they brought a mascot." I was like, "Dad, look again, it's him."
Arsenal Central, he says, has anyone said about Socrates leaving? I felt for him. I really did. I thought that he probably didn't deserve to be left out of the squad, even if you have him there as to play a few Europa League games. FA, I think that's very what's the word? Demeaning when you're left out of the fucking squad. Like, that's just a real kick in the teeth for me. My major shock was Tony, and I think I said in the whatever chat we're in now. I think he went to one of the rivals, like, because he come up through the ranks as youth. Is it Athens? But then I'm like, I wonder how that'd fit where he's gone in Greece.
I don't know. I mean, I would just, without too much knowledge, I'd imagine that Olympiacos were the only club that could afford him if he was to go back to Greece. And look, some countries, when you're a big like national team player, they're just happy to have you there. And then other countries like Turkey, I know Ozil doesn't play for Turkey, they couldn't care less. It's like, if you're playing for the rival, they hate you. They don't care about what level you are. So it's like you'll notice with Italy, most players tend to stay within Italy, and that's fine. Whereas within England, like, you're fucking hated if you go to a rival. In Italy, that's fine. They just want you in the country. So I don't know that situation in Greece, but I'd imagine they were the only club that could afford him. So maybe it'll be like, oh, look, we've got a Premier League, a Bundesliga player coming to our comparatively small league. The whole country's happy about it. I don't know.
Maybe. Speaking of Italy, did you guys see the bust up that Ibra and Lukaku had today?
I saw them shouting each other's faces.
He shouted. Lukaku shouted to Ibrahimovic, and I'm quoting him here, so can no one get angry for my language. But you can basically, they started arguing in English and got picked up by the what do you call it, the microphones for the commentators and everything. And you can hear Lukaku turn around to Ibrahimovic, be like, "Yeah, I'll take you and I'll fuck your fucking wife," which was quite funny based on the fact that obviously the two of them have obviously really heated history with when they were United. But yeah, it was quite funny to see.
Sorry, mate. I didn't see it, so I can't add nothing to it because I'm like, I've got no idea what you're talking about.
So Tez don't want to hear about sledging because of the Australian cricket team and their idiot of a captain.
It's the fucking Arsenal podcast, not a fucking cricket podcast.
Oh
right?
yeah,
It's worth noting that it's worth
noting
noting that in my sports law and football business degree that I'm in my third year doing, we had to do a full case study on your corrupt dickhead in his sandpaper. And I tell you this now, I absolutely fucking can't stand Steve Smith. Just want to rub that one in.
No one can.
It's only fucking
Cheating cunt.
Oh, fuck off, cunts. It's only cheating if you get caught. Fuck off, you.
He did get caught.
He gets caught time and time again.
And he
got
dubbed
caught.
off the
Yeah,
poor
of course he's a cheat. Now he's
He
a cheat.
influenced some like 18-year-olds. He
If he didn't
influenced
get
like the equivalent
caught-
of Saka for us to get in trouble.
If
The
you
equivalent of
didn't get
Saka
caught,
for
you
your
wouldn't know about
national team.
it. Fuck off. You bet you've been cheating all day, cunt.
He cheats and then he cries and then Australians feel sorry for him because he's good at cricket. And then he cheats again and they pretend he was just practicing his batting stroke. What, in the fourth innings when the other team's batting?
It was also fucking criminal that he was allowed to play in the last Ashes. He still should have been banned. Fucking cheating prick.
I'm going to mute those pommy cunts for a second. Fucking whinging fucking pommy cunts. Fair dinkum. You know what pissed me off the most? Actually, and I know the sandpaper thing and all that thing was big headlines. I watched one of the mic cams picked him up, rubbing out the it's hard to describe what I don't know what to call it now, but yeah, and I don't know. Do people know what that is though? Like, because anyway, it's a little line. Yeah, it's a little line you put. I put if you're having a bat, I put off stump. You might mark off stump, and that's where you're batting from to protect your outside off stump or whatnot. But yeah, he rubbed it out, and I thought, why do you do that? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just the way it is. They maybe all do it, but he got caught with the wicket cam. And just leaves a bad taste in your mouth, doesn't it? Like, oh, you boys don't care, but yeah,
he's just a knob. He's an exceptional cricketer. He's just a knob.
His face pisses me off as well. Like he's got, in like, do you know what he reminds me of? American Pie. He reminds me of the Shermanator. He just has that really fucking annoying face.
Oh, let's get
and
off.
His shit haircut as well. Oh.
You know what I fucking got this? You know what fucking I laughed at this week? The fucking wanker Max, you stupid cunt. I don't know. Like, I'll be honest, Max, enlighten me. What have you got in for Martin? Oh, what's his name? Martin Odegaard. Or Odegaard, isn't it? Is that
what a player?
Yeah, but Max, he don't like him. He reckons it's a fucking waste of a fucking loan deal. I'm like,
it's not. It's silly to say that though, because at the end of the day, it's actually the biggest win for us because we've got O'Mill anyway, so it's not like we're weak in that position. And I guess he's injury prone to an extent, but like we've got a player good enough there anyways. We essentially have a 6-month trial period with a player who was dubbed to be one of the best in the world. Had a fantastic season last season after a couple of dodgy years. But then it's expected when you put that much pressure on a kid that was 16 all those years ago when he signed for them. And let's be real, by what the media say, he can't stand Madrid, he can't stand Zidane, and the likelihood is, on the fact that he's got a year left in his contract for 18 months now anyways, we could probably pick him up for quite cheap in the summer if he likes it here. And he's got a shit ton of potential.
I think the contract thing's wrong. I think it's 2023. I don't know if that's with an option.
Let me quickly check that.
Mate,
the transfer checker's got it as 23, but it might be an option. But obviously, they would take that up rather than let him go for nothing.
But still, though, it's not like he's got 5 years.
No, a couple of years.
But
when I was playing the Football Manager game all them years ago, and you check out these young players coming through, and I think it was an article on, whiz kid, super kid, blah, whatever. They all get the next best thing coming through. I haven't seen much of this kid. I'll admit I might have seen him play for his country a couple of times. I can't remember. I don't ever remember seeing him run around for Real Madrid. Where was he before that?
He's been on loan for years.
Yeah, okay. But I don't know much. I haven't seen a lot of him, so I'm not going to sit here and make out that I'm all of a sudden a fucking, he's the bee's knees of players. But where do these guys get off on he's not a good player? I don't understand that. Like, I could see that with who was that old cunt that come from Juventus or Juve? And I said, he's a
Lichtstein.
fucking waste of space. Yeah, he's a waste of space, that cunt, because we've been watching him for years. You know, I thought, what a shit sign. It turned out a shit sign. This kid, I don't see that with this kid. I think, well, he's a young kid. He's, 22, 21. He's signed up for Real Madrid. You know, he's been out on loan. He plays for his country. Like, he ticks all the fucking boxes in my head. I don't understand the hatred around it. Oh, he's a shit sign, and I don't get it.
I think people that want to find a negative just go, oh, he's not getting in the Madrid team, so it's a Madrid reject. But I mean,
what, Ceballos is
he's not getting in ahead of Modric and Casemiro and Toni Kroos or Isco or who's the left-footed guy whose name I always forget, but I rate him.
Asensio?
That's the one. Always forget his name, and I think he's unbelievable. Asensio, Vinicius Junior, Eden Hazard, like, they're the caliber of players he's not getting it ahead of. Not at no point then did I say Willian, Joe Willock, or fuck knows who else. I don't know who our next one is after that.
Willock. Yeah, no, you're spot on. I can't work it out. Had me fooled. A couple of people complaining. Max at the Arts Brothers, he wasn't real happy. So.
Look, to be honest, and this is no dig at Max here at all, but I mean, who would you believe when it comes to opinion? Max, who, no offence, but lives in Australia and doesn't play professional football, or Nacho Monreal, who played for Arsenal for 8 years, played with Odegaard last season at Sociedad and said he is fantastic and is perfectly suited for us?
Oh, look, I have to say Max because he's an Aussie. Shout out, boys! You hear them at the Arse Brothers, but yeah, I seen him. Just I don't know, crack me up. Anyone else rumored to be coming in, Tony? Have I missed anybody there or anyone left?
We've been linked with a few players that are on a free in the summer. I mean, a couple that I don't believe, one of them being Ryan Bertrand. I'm not buying it at all. And I think it would be a horrible, horrible deal if it did happen. But I just think that conveniently came about and got quite strong the day before we played him in the Cup and the day we played him in the Cup. And then you never hear anything of it again. It didn't even get recycled today because he wasn't playing. Had he been playing, I think we'd have heard some more about it just to try and unsettle him or whatever. But for me, I hope it's not true and I don't believe it. There was rumoured with Ings, but I'm not. I think Ings has got 18 months. I'm not sure. But if he's on the free, his contract's running out. Isn't it? I would take him in a heartbeat. Him and Bertrand, it was the same day. So Russ Morgan's just said Tyrick Mitchell, who's another left back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And also Amavi, who I think is at Marseille. He was at Aston Villa when he was very young and didn't do very well. But he was very young in their horrible year when they went down. And then he's kind of picked up his career and he's doing quite well in France. I think his contract's up in the summer again. And there's a lot of good teams linked with him. And we're one of them. So we've been linked with a few left backs. I personally think they're all for summer unless we try and agree a pre-contract and then offer pennies now, and well, not pennies, but comparative pennies, and say, look, we're getting them for free in the summer. Do yourself a favour and take £1 million now, sort of thing. Otherwise, you've got to pay his wages for the next 6 months, and then you're going to lose him for free. But all the links seem to be left backs, and more than likely for summer. But to be honest, after how Cedric played today, we ain't going to sign another left back.
No, I was just about to say that. Are we looking in the right positions? Because I thought left back between Tierney and Cedric, I'm happy there. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they were looking at I think they're looking at a second choice left back. So then we've got 2 actual left backs and then 2 or 3 or 2 actual right backs, and Ainsley sort of floating between the 2. But as I said, with Cedric doing that job as a deputy, as I said today, he played so well that the biggest compliment you can pay him is we didn't miss Tierney on the day. I'm not for a second saying Cedric's as good as him, but you didn't come away from that game thinking, I wish Tierney played. So I think any talk of trying to sign a left back is no longer there.
Yep.
You're also missing one other player we were linked with, but it looks like as well that's for summer. But that's Manor Solomon of Shakhtar Donetsk in Ukraine, the young Israeli, who has obviously
name again?
Manor Solomon.
Yeah.
My total knowledge of
really
him is
impressed.
he's Israeli.
He's really impressed. He was the guy that scored and was insane against City and Madrid in the Champions League. He's a young player. He can kind of play anywhere in that kind of front four, whether it's in the 10, either wings or up front. Rapid, quick, very good end product, and he looks to be a very good player. I mean, it seems that Arteta does rate him. I think his agent and everyone kind of came out and said that, yeah, Arsenal were interested. He would want the move, and I think links out of Arsenal as well did also suggest that that's not something that was just a one-way street from an agent trying to get a better deal. But it looks very much
if his agent
in the
said
summer.
if his agent said it, it's almost certainly not true. Arsenal put non-disclosure.
It could have been his dad. It could have been his dad rather than his agent. But it was someone from his end said it, but it was backed up from the English lot.
Yeah, but English press. Arsenal put non-disclosure agreements in everything. It's what same with like say Pepe. You never heard anything from his side. You never hear anything. Even still, we've not actually heard anything from Odegaard. We've heard from the Norway manager. Arsenal, the way they tie up, for whatever reason, most clubs probably do it. I don't know, but Arsenal put non-disclosure agreements and everything. So 99 times out of 100, if someone comes out and says they're linked with Arsenal or Arsenal are signing me, they're probably not.
Okay.
I don't know the kid. It's not a reflection on the kid and his ability, but it's just from knowing how Arsenal work their contracts that usually when you hear an agent say Arsenal are linked with, it usually means Arsenal have had not one single conversation with.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope we do sign him. He's a quality player, but and that's not just because I'm Jewish.
I'll just take your word for it, boys. I got no idea. We got Matt Ryan, mate. That's all I care. Fuck the rest of them. I tell you what, though, Leno was fucking good today.
I'm so happy all that Martinez comparison shit has stopped.
Yeah, same. You know what? I float around a couple of football groups and whatnot, and I got a mate there. He's a Tottenham fan. He's an Aussie too. Oh, you signed Matt Ryan. Fuck off, cunt. You got Joe Hart, and he goes, "Oh, he should have kept that other bloke, Martinelli." I'm like, "The fucking hell you done it?" Like, fuck, can't annoy me.
Wait, sorry. He compared Matt Ryan and Martinelli. What?
Yeah.
And a winger, and also,
well, he said we should have
Martinelli.
kept him. Yeah.
And to be fair, Ryan's young for a keeper. He's only 28. I mean, if it works out, it's a great bit of business.
I think it's a good bit of business. Look, I don't know what's happened there at Brighton with him because his
contract's running out.
Yeah, but he wasn't getting in the team either, was he?
Because he refused to sign a new contract. That's the thing that's been getting me. People going, "Oh, you've signed Brighton's third choice." He went from first choice to third choice because he refused to sign a contract. There was no. It wasn't because I mean the guy. Okay, fair. I mean now their keeper Sanchez, no one had ever heard of anyway. But then even in the cup games, they were playing Still. Was it Jed Still? And it's like, come on, give me a break. It was just purely. It's to be honest, it's what we should do with players, and I kind of didn't want to bring him up because I can't stand the kid. But you see, that for me, that's how you should deal with it. But instead, because we're Arsenal, you get fans going, "No, play Balogun," even though he's going to go in 3 months. Piss off. Send the kid on.
Can I say one thing on that, right? Because I haven't been on here for a bit. Did you see what that prickly Gunner said that he'd give him $100,000 a week? The kid hasn't played first team football. Everyone's gassing him up. Let's be fair, right? He's a very, very good young player. I've watched him for the 23s. He has a shit ton of potential. Don't get me wrong, but he's not strong enough yet. And everyone's getting all excited because he scored 2 goals in Europa League. It was against Dundalk. He's a great player, but you don't shoehorn someone ahead of Aubameyang, Lacazette, regardless of their form. If you're 17, 18, completely unproven, don't really has the technical ability, but isn't that physical, a bit like Eddie, a bit too weak on the ball. For me, Balogun should be signing a deal and going to the Championship for a year to bolt the hell up like Emil did last year.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to take the word. The manager, at the end of the day, look, and I've questioned our manager this season on a number of times. I still think to myself at times, what the fuck is going on? But if he's not starting him, well, there's obviously a reason. So.
I feel that our fans don't really understand youth development. They kind of think, well, if a player's doing well for the under 23s, then they suddenly they're perfect for the Premier League and good. They could help us win a title, and it's just completely naive and stupid. Even with the way they rule players out, some players, for example, some players that they play with, let's say mature and are good at 18, 19. Some maybe don't hit that sort of level to their 21, 22.
And I just think people need to understand that players develop differently. I mean, the prime example of that is also like when people try and compare for Fofana fitting in at Leicester and Saliba. It's just the way players develop in certain situations is unique to them as a person. And it doesn't really matter if someone has the same sort of profile. It's just how they mature and develop it in a men's game.
Mm-hmm. That's about it, boys. Look, we've got obviously a window closing in a couple of days. We might pop on for something happens, but I don't know if much will happen.
Nothing will happen.
I don't think much will happen. But look, hey, my kids are back at school this week, so come Friday. So I'm like, yeah, beauty. It's been a long Christmas break. So yeah, we might jump on. We'll see what happens. Otherwise, we'll be back next week. Again, who we got coming up, boys? I haven't even looked that far.
We've got Man United, and then we've got a midweek game next week. I'm not sure who it is, though.
Is it Villa away? It's Villa away, then Wolves away.
Is it?
Fucking hell. Basically, what just like to clarify this now, what that basically means is in a week's time, we will either be 4th or 5th or 14th.
Wow.
Yeah. Big week. If they're the games, it's a huge week.
Can I just say that if we do get through those, right? And I'm really not saying we're gonna do this. So please, can people not take this the wrong way? But let's say we go and beat United, and we go and we do that, and we do over. I mean, we're not going to win all 3, but let's say we do. We could be looking. I mean, look, in terms of the media rhetoric, not in terms of being realistic, but we would be look like we're sniffing around top spot if results go away with the sort of games being played. There's a lot of big, high-profile clashes in the league as well, where people are dropping points, and then obviously, then we also have a chance to obviously we've got to play up everyone apart from Chelsea in the Big Six. We've all got the Emirates as well. So I mean, in theory, if we were to win the next, if we were to get, let's say 6 out of 9 of the next 3 somehow, at least our chase for top 4 is way back on.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's only Villa as well that are 3 games behind us. I mean, all the other big teams are only 1.
The only team that's starting to worry me now, boys, and I don't know how you lads feel, like Leicester City they're not worrying me, but they're consistently winning. Leicester and Manchester City are starting to gain some massive form.
City will piss the league. I said that a few weeks ago. I think City.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. City
in terms of Leicester, it's a weird one because their squad's not big enough, and I've got a feeling that we're going to see something similar to last year, which is that when because they're still in all the competitions, I think. So when it gets to a stage where they're playing in the Europa League, I mean, they're obviously in the Europa League. When they're playing Thursday, Sundays again, when that's back, I'm interested to see what happens there because they've got a few players who keep picking up little injuries, and their squad isn't big enough to sustain.
Are they buying? No, I haven't really been following the market too much. They're not buying either.
I don't think so.
No, I thought I might have, bought a couple of squad players or something like that, and yeah, okay, interesting. Chelsea boys, I've just want to get your thoughts there quickly because we are talking obviously in our Premier League. Tony, new manager popped in. I thought it was. I know old Lampard was. When you look at stats, but I didn't think he was going as bad as the stats showed. They bit the bullet and sacked him.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's what Abramovich does. I was surprised. I saw today that he was under Abramovich. He was their 3rd or 4th longest serving manager in the amount of league games. Sorry, it was like he's managed 59 games. I think they said it was, and he's their 4th. I think it was longest serving manager, which is unbelievable.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I was massively surprised. They've been uninspiring in so many ways. Not only is the football they've been playing bad, he can't fit the players in. He's now a good amount into the season, and he doesn't know his best 11. He doesn't know his best formation. Yeah. He doesn't know the best position for a lot of these players. I remember when we done one of our early Premier League previews, and we talked about all the teams, and I said with them I think they were top at the time, but they weren't worrying. Like, do you know what I mean? You looked at them and you didn't think, fucking shit, they're going to run away with things.
Yeah. They've got good players.
Well, have they?
I know you don't rate them, right? But I look, you've got to. I'm like you, right? I'm not totally sold on Timo Werner. I'm not at all. I don't know what's going. But boys, you've got to look at the system. Is the system Lampard not? He's not fitting in. Havertz.
Oh look, there's a lot. He doesn't know.
I watched him in Germany, and he's good. He's a fucking good player.
Look, I
Yeah,
said to you lot the other day that I watch him. Do you know you watch someone and you can see what they're good at, even if they're not playing well. With him, I'm just like, what does he excel at? Like, what do you know when you like? What do you go? That's his strength, and I struggle to find an answer.
What with Werner, Tony, or Havertz?
Havertz, Werner's shit. I've been saying that for 2 years.
I
More
like
than 2 years. I'm saying it since
He's better.
I
He's better
don't
than
know what his strength is. He
he's
gives the
better
ball away
than-
all the time and fouls people. It's like I don't get it. Like I've not seen a thing from him that even makes me go, oh, he's good at this or he's good at that. I don't get it. And then you look around, I rate Ziyech, but he's a bad fit for the Premier League because he tries to cross the ball from 40, 50 yards. You're never going to get away with that in the league. He doesn't try and get to byline.
Yeah, I haven't seen him yet.
He's a good player. I really rate Pulisic, but the system they're trying to play doesn't suit him.
Mm.
And then you look around, like Mount's been their best player, and look, Mount is good.
He ain't going to get a look in.
That's another thing. I don't know if he will now, but he's been their best player. You got Abraham's not exactly clinical. Giroud was 5th choice at the start of the year, and now they're turning to him as probably their 1st choice. Like they're all over the place. You look at the back. Rudiger couldn't get a game for love nor money. Now I think he started the last 3. Thiago, they were only trying to play once a week, and he wasn't traveling to away games or traveling to Europe. Now he's the center of every game. Reece James can't defend. Chilwell, I rate. Mendy is not very good. He had a good 2 games to start with, and they were claiming he was the best keeper ever, and it's turned out he's not. Which surprised absolutely.
What happened there?
Aren't they also claiming Reece James is the best right back in the league? I mean, fuck me, that's a ridiculous thing to say.
So new manager, is it Tuchel? What's he going to bring, boys? We've seen him at PSG. We've seen him at Dortmund. Both attacking style.
I saw a stat today that in his last, I think it was 2 or 3 jobs, he's won the first 5 games with all of them. I mean, look, granted, one of them was PSG and the other one was a decent Dortmund side. So you'd expect a new manager bounce. It'll be interesting to see how he's going to change that team. Look, he knows Havertz and Werner very well from just obviously being in Germany. So it'll be interesting to see how he fits them in. Because look, I don't rate Werner, but there is certainly a system where he will score goals. The same look for me. He's Theo Walcott. That's literally how I see him. And under the right system, Theo Walcott scored goals. People didn't rate him, but at the end of the season, you looked at it and it said 20 goals next to his name. So if Tuchel can unlock that, I think you have to get Kante playing the Kante role. Be interesting to see what they do next to him. Kovacic's probably more progressive, but doesn't affect the game at either end. Jorginho will never ever give the ball away, but not really affect the game at either end. Gilmour, is he too young? Mount, can he play that deep? It'll be interesting to see what Tuchel does. I don't know. It's difficult though, because as Reece James, he's good going forward. I don't rate him defensively. And is Tuchel going to be that bomb on both sides sort of manager and leave them exposed? Especially when you look at the back and they've got someone like Thiago whose legs are going or gone. So if the fullbacks leave him exposed, it's going to be trouble. It'd be interesting to see what he does. And they're playing Wolves tomorrow, and it's one of them. It's a free hit. It's actually a really good game to bring him in, because if they lose, it'll be, it's Lampard's team. He's only been there a day. He's not even had a training session. If they win, it'll be a fucking hell Tuchel effect. So
So Big Roy come out and he said, I don't know what. He must have done an interview or something. And he said, he won a title with PSG and he did a couple of things at Dortmund. Why he's not a big manager or something like that?
Emery. He's literally another Emery. Like if anything, he's won less. I mean, one thing I just want to say, just because I didn't just before, with Lampard, it's a weird one, because when we did the season preview, the season preview pods, when we got kind of what's going to happen, I said Lampard would be gone by Christmas, and obviously wasn't far wrong. But do I think it was the right decision from a take away the rivalry? God no. I mean, at the end of the day, the job he did last year was great for them with the transfer ban and getting them in the top 4. And they've been on one bad run, but they're still in the FA Cup. They're still in the Champions League. And as a young manager, when you appoint someone with the little experience he's got, because let's be real, 1 year at Derby, it doesn't make experienced manager. What Chelsea should have done at the minimum is say to Lampard, look, we're going to give you a chance to pull yourself out of this for the rest of the season. And if I was Abramovich, I'd be sounding out all the good managers who are even currently in jobs, and seeing who I could poach in the summer if it doesn't sort out. But I really do think they've made a premature decision. And I think a bit similar to, obviously not nowhere near the same extent, but similar to when Spurs sacked Poch and brought in Mourinho. Yes, it could be good in the short term, but long term, I didn't think it was a good bit of sporting business as a whole. And I think Chelsea are going to regret that. But then on the flip side, and I'm going to put an opinion to you guys to see what you think. I really think that Lampard should be the next England manager, because I don't think Southgate's good enough. And I think the relationship Lampard has with the young league talent at Chelsea and the way he's looked upon as an icon of the Premier League, I think he could do a very, very good job and play some quite good attacking football with the players we've got in the England setup. And I think if we don't win the Euros, which I don't think we will, I could see Lampard getting the job for the World Cup.
Mate, I couldn't give a rat's ass if you boys.
I was just going to say. I was just going to say, Tez couldn't care less. For me, I think Southgate's horrendous. I think he's an awful manager, but I wouldn't go anywhere near Frank Lampard. He has relationships with people, and then if you're not, he's the type of person. I know we moan about Southgate with Jack Grealish, but Lampard would do the same thing. Like, look at Tomori. He was his star last year. They had one disagreement, and suddenly tried to loan him out, then got pissed off with Tomori because he didn't want to go to West Ham, and he's not been in a squad. Rudiger just completely bombed him off and then suddenly tried to bring him back in, and we know that doesn't work. And also, he's never been able to make a defence any good, and he keeps chopping and changing. I wouldn't have him anywhere near England. Look, he'll end up getting another Premier League job because of his name and because he's been at Chelsea. If he'd have done the job he's done at Palace, he wouldn't get another Premier League job. But because it's been at Chelsea, it's seen, oh, yeah, he wasn't too bad at Chelsea. So he'll get I say it funny, I mentioned Palace because Hodgson's not been offered a new contract yet. Newcastle with Steve Bruce, he'll get that sort of level of job either probably before the end of the season or in the summer. But
there's big talk of Celtic.
Yeah, they're I mean, every link with everyone.
Yeah, no, true. I mean, I can't stand that club, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Has Tez vanished?
Nah, me, listen, you can't swinge about your fucking manager. Who cares? No one cares. I hope you bomb out of Euros and get last, you two cunts.
I mean, to be fair, are you even qualifying for the World Cup?
If I'm going for that, fucking smart ass. I'd probably follow Italy, Netherlands. Yeah, anyone but England. Fuck England.
To be fair, I mean, it makes sense to just kind of, I mean, what I do with the World Cup.
If you come here, you took over our country, you pumped a couple of fucking convicts here, and you expect us to fucking follow you to the World Cup? Fuck off.
I mean, to be fair though,
Black Lives Matter, mate. Black Lives Matter.
I also just make a point of in the international tournament supporting all our players. So I'll let's say England don't get to the final. Yes, I'll be upset, but I'll be happy then. I'll still be happy if an Arsenal player wins it or is in the final. Do you know what I mean? I like following our boys just as much.
Yeah. When did that start? Euros.
Summer, I think it's June.
In the summer,
if it goes ahead, June.
It's interesting. It's interesting though, Tez, because this is quite ironic timing, but because it's the anniversary of the tournament, what they wanted to do was play it all across Europe, and then sod's law, that's now obviously not really possible because Corona. So, I mean, the final and the semis are the few of the games meant to be at Wembley, but I mean, it looks like they're going to have to probably move it to one country, and the two countries that are there is obviously England is always a standby because we've got the infrastructure. And the country's the right size. You have the right amount of hotels and everything that you need to facilitate a tournament. Then obviously Russia's the other one because they had the last World Cup. So the likelihood is it'll probably get moved to either here or Russia. But obviously time will tell what happens. And
move it down here. We'll stick it out in the fucking desert. You bastards, sweat your asses off.
I'd rather play it at Disneyland like the MLS did.
Do you know what? Moving it to a nation outside of Europe wouldn't be a horrendous idea if it's somewhere with COVID in control.
Have they got?
It's too hot. It's too hot. That's why they've moved the World Cup.
True. Yeah. It's a shame because the thing about Qatar, I was looking at the demographic. One massive result, and I went to Russia for the semi. But one thing that I like about Qatar is that every stadium is 10-15 minutes away from each other. So it's not like you got to get on some 6-hour flight between games.
Qatar's tiny then.
Russia was good though. When that World Cup was there, that was, from everything I heard, was good.
If
and
I'm
everyone
honest,
was a bit worried, wasn't it?
it was one of the okay. Look, don't get me wrong. When I landed, it did feel quite scripted, like when you come out the airport. But it was the greatest experience of my life. I mean, I remember just very quickly about when we got there, because we were only there for 2 days. We would have stayed if we got to the final. But me and my dad, we had like a late dinner because we got there late and we were watching the France semi-final. And after that, it was about 1:30 in Red Square, which is like their main political bit where they had all the, like all the temporary TV stands and everything. And I remember it was really late and there was about 50 people or so left and no one spoke a word of English. Like everyone spoke a different language. And everyone was from obviously a different country. And I remember this one guy, I think it was Brazilian, whipped out a football. And then all 50 of us literally were just kicking a ball around for like an hour, like in the 2 a.m. It was honestly something I'll never forget. It was amazing. Like for all you listeners, like if there's one sporting experience that I would recommend, it is a World Cup, because it's just the most incredible thing where everyone's friendly, everyone's happy. Like there aren't really rivalries to the same extent as club. It's just unbelievable to experience.
No, definitely on the bucket list one day when this fucking COVID.
I remember though in the semi when obviously we were 1-0 up, but when obviously Croatia won the game 2-1, I felt a bit upset. But then I remember when I was in the England end behind the goal, and all the Spurs players, obviously it was a majority of Spurs teams, they come over and you can see like Kane and that are like crying and feeling sorry for themselves. And honestly, I started laughing. I was wearing my Arsenal scarf. I had a Danny Welbeck England shirt because he was the only Arsenal player, and they didn't even have his name in Nike Town when I got his shirt, so I had to cut it up. And I remember just sitting there, and I just started laughing watching all the Spurs lot cry. I mean, it's probably a bit of a shit mentality as an England fan, but it was just hilarious to see them bottle jobs in that.
I mean, nothing more funny than a bunch of poms in the fucking stadium crying. They can't see it. Fucking laugh it up. Okay, boys, I'm out. See, I love you, lads. Those who celebrated Australia Day yesterday, happy Australia Day. Those who didn't, get fucked. Okay, that's it, boys. We're out. See you next week. You've been listening to Clock End Talk, an Arsenal podcast. You can follow me at Gurnatez, and you can follow the podcast at Arsenal CET Pod. That's Arsenal CET Pod. Patreon listeners, you can jump on there and find all that on the socials. We're now on Twitch, YouTube, as well as Facebook. You can get us anywhere. Okay. Thanks, boys. Yep.
Cheers.
Excellent. Yeah, good. Yeah, see, I love it. Okay, see you later. Good night and goodbye.